In a kingdom of light and shadow, a princess sleeps under a curse darker than the night itself, but one hidden courage might awaken not just her, but an entire kingdom. Long ago, in a kingdom bathed in golden sunlight and gentle breezes, a king and queen awaited a child for many long years, and their hearts were heavy with longing and hope. When at last a daughter was born, they named her Aurora, for she seemed to carry the light of the dawn in her eyes and the warmth of a rising sun in her smile. The entire kingdom rejoiced at her arrival, and the royal court prepared a grand celebration that no one would ever forget. Magnificent banners fluttered from every tower, the streets were lined with joyful citizens, and musicians filled the air with songs of happiness and welcome. To honor the princess, the king invited every noble, every villager, and every enchanted being in the kingdom to the castle, hoping that none would be overlooked and that Aurora's life would begin with a celebration worthy of her light. Among the invited were 3 good fairies, each more radiant than the last. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather arrived in shimmering bursts of starlight, their gowns sparkling like dew on morning petals, their presence filling the great hall with warmth and wonder. Each fairy stepped forward with a gift to bestow upon the newborn princess. Flora spoke first, granting Aurora the gift of unparalleled beauty, a beauty that would shine from within as well as in appearance, touching everyone she met with admiration and affection. Fauna followed, granting the gift of grace and kindness, a gentle heart that would always find compassion for the creatures of the earth and the souls of the people she would one day meet. Finally, Merryweather prepared to bestow her gift, her hands raised and her voice humming with anticipation, when suddenly the doors of the great hall swung open with a force that made the candles flicker. A shadow swept across the room, and every candle dimmed at once. In the doorway appeared Maleficent, the sorceress of thorns and darkness, who had not been invited to the celebration. Her gown seemed woven from midnight itself, and her eyes glimmered with icy malice. With a voice that echoed like the hollow wind through a cave, she cursed the princess, declaring that before the sun set on her 16th birthday, Aurora would prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a deep sleep from which she would never awaken. Gasps filled the hall, and the king and queen held their daughter close, trembling at the cruel words that seemed to twist the very air around them. Merryweather, thinking quickly, stepped forward with a flick of her wand, softening the curse so that Aurora would not die, but would sleep until a magical force, one that could overcome even the darkest of spells, awakened her. Though the evil had been tempered, the threat remained, and the fairies knew that the child's life must be kept hidden and protected. They whispered among themselves and agreed that Aurora must be taken away from the castle, where the sorceress's gaze could not reach her. In the dead of night, under the cover of stars and the hush of sleeping guards, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather spirited the princess away to a secluded cottage deep in the heart of the forest, a place where the trees whispered lullabies and the streams sang soft melodies. There, in this hidden haven, Aurora would grow safe from the shadow of Maleficent. She was given the name Briar Rose, a humble name that would conceal her royal identity, and she was raised with love and care, learning the ways of the forest and the secrets of the creatures who lived there. Birds became her companions, teaching her songs that floated on the wind, deer and rabbits danced with her in the clearing, and foxes guided her along hidden paths, weaving a tapestry of joy and discovery around her life. The fairies, ever watchful, visited often, ensuring that Aurora grew strong, kind, and wise. As the years passed, Aurora's heart became as luminous as the sun filtering through the leaves, her laughter as pure as the crystal streams she loved, and her curiosity as boundless as the skies above. One day, while wandering along a forest path she had never traveled, Aurora encountered a young man, a visitor to the kingdom whose heart was open and honest. Though they did not yet know each other's names, they felt a connection that went beyond words, a sense of recognition that seemed woven by fate itself. They shared stories and laughter, and together they explored the glades and meadows, their companionship growing with each passing day. The world beyond the forest remained a mystery, but their friendship was a light that guided them through the days. Meanwhile, in the distant reaches of her tower, Maleficent sensed the approach of Aurora's 16th birthday. Her anger and determination grew with each passing moment, her plans taking shape like the coils of a serpent ready to strike. She enchanted the castle and the lands surrounding it, weaving illusions and shadows that would prevent anyone from interfering with her designs. She summoned her minions to guard the hidden spinning wheel that had been crafted for the curse, ensuring that the princess could not avoid her fate once she returned to the castle. On the day Aurora turned 16, the fairies sensed a shift in the balance of magic. They gathered, whispering urgently, their wings aglow with urgency. Aurora, unaware of the danger that loomed, was drawn toward the castle by an irresistible curiosity, a sense that some unseen force had a story to reveal to her. As she approached the highest tower, where dust lay thick upon forgotten furniture and cobwebs hung like lace, she discovered a spinning wheel she had never seen. Its spindle gleamed in the dim light, and despite every instinct that warned her to turn away, Aurora reached out, her finger brushing against the sharp tip. The curse was fulfilled. She fell into a deep slumber, her body as still as the morning mist over the hills. The fairies rushed to her side, casting protective spells to shield her from harm, knowing that no ordinary power could awaken her from this magical sleep. Word spread quickly across the kingdom, and the lands themselves seemed to pause in reverence for the princess's fate. Fields stilled, rivers mirrored the quiet sky, and even the animals of the forest fell silent, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Time moved differently in the castle and in the surrounding lands. Seasons passed, winds shifted, and yet Aurora slept, untouched by age or change, while the forces of magic gathered to ensure that the balance between light and darkness could be restored. The young man who had met Aurora in the forest refused to surrender to despair. Guided by courage, loyalty, and the bond they had formed, he prepared to confront the trials that Maleficent had set before him. He navigated enchanted forests where trees rearranged themselves, crossed rivers that seemed alive with illusions, and faced creatures of shadow and flame that tested his resolve at every turn. Maleficent, sensing his determination, transformed into a massive dragon of darkness, her wings stretching across the sky, her eyes glowing with malevolent fire. But he pressed forward, wielding not only his strength but the purity of heart that had drawn him to Aurora in the first place. With bravery and ingenuity, he managed to overcome the illusions and traps, reaching the tower where Aurora lay. The fairies, sensing the arrival of a force capable of challenging the darkness, strengthened the protective wards around her, creating a moment where courage and magic could intersect. Standing before the sleeping princess, he called upon the power of hope and determination, a force that could rival even the deepest enchantments. Slowly, as if the world itself cooperated, Aurora's eyes fluttered open, blue and bright as the morning sky. The spell was broken, not by force or violence, but by the courage, loyalty, and unwavering determination that had been brought to her side. Around her, the kingdom stirred back to life. Birds sang, rivers rippled with renewed energy, and fields turned green once more, reflecting the harmony restored between light and shadow. Aurora rose, her heart filled with wonder at the world she had slept through, and though she had been slumbering, her spirit remained unbroken, her mind sharp and her curiosity stronger than ever. She returned to the kingdom, no longer hidden, but radiant in her identity, ready to embrace the responsibilities and joys of her birthright. Maleficent, her schemes foiled, retreated into shadows, her power diminished but not entirely gone, a reminder that vigilance and courage must always remain. Aurora's life unfolded with grace and purpose. She worked alongside the people of her kingdom, learning from their experiences and teaching them compassion and wisdom in return. Her days were filled with exploration, learning, and friendship, her nights with reflection and quiet wonder at the magic that existed in the world around her. The young man who had journeyed through trials to reach her remained her steadfast companion, their friendship deepening into a bond of trust, loyalty, and shared adventure. Together, they explored the vast lands of the kingdom, aided by the fairies who continued to watch over them, and inspired a generation to value courage, kindness, and hope. Aurora's story became a legend that spread far beyond the castle walls. Tales were told of a princess who had faced darkness with grace, who had endured trials without faltering, and whose courage, curiosity, and heart had restored life and light to an entire kingdom. Children and adults alike learned from her example, that even in the face of shadows, bravery and goodness could prevail, and that one person's determination could ripple outward to touch countless lives. The kingdom prospered, bathed in the warmth of hope and the light of joy. Festivals celebrated not only Aurora's awakening but the lessons of perseverance, kindness, and courage that she embodied. Every spring, flowers bloomed in colors brighter than ever before, a reminder that life and beauty could flourish even after the darkest winters. And so, Aurora's life continued, rich with experience, friendship, adventure, and wisdom. She grew not only in years but in spirit, always guided by the light within her and the bonds she had forged with those around her. The fairies remained by her side, offering counsel and enchantment when needed, and the kingdom thrived, a place where courage, hope, and goodness were honored above all else. Through it all, Aurora remembered the lessons of her hidden years in the forest, the friendships she had formed, and the trials she had endured, knowing that every challenge she had faced had shaped her into the person she had become. And though darkness might one day rise again, she had learned that with courage, wisdom, and a heart guided by love for her people and the world, she could face whatever came, bringing light and hope wherever she went, and ensuring that the story of her life would be remembered not for the slumber she endured, but for the strength, joy, and courage she carried through every waking moment.